Good morning, my beautiful souls. Uh, Virgo, I need you to put everything down for a moment. Whatever you were carrying into this reading, the weight of the week, the unresolved questions, the specific and familiar heaviness of a sign that processes everything deeply and rarely gives itself permission to simply stop and receive and put it down. Just for the duration of this, because what I am feeling in your energy tonight requires a quality of openness that the carrying does not allow. And what I am feeling is extraordinary. Not in the inflated, everything is wonderful sense that costs nothing to say. In the specific, located, this is actually what the energy shows sense that I reserve for the moments when what is present genuinely warrants it. And what is present in your energy tonight, Virgo? Your particular, precise, endlessly analytical, and yet somehow still stubbornly hopeful energy is a quality of approaching joy that I want to speak about with the full honesty it deserves. Not manufactured warmth, not the reassurance dispensed to make someone feel better in the moment. The real observation offered because it is true that something is forming in the current of your life that carries the specific frequency of happiness, genuine, sustained, the kind that does not require explanation or justification or the anxious monitoring of its own durability, the kind that simply is. Soft sigh. Let me speak first about Virgo's particular relationship with happiness, because I think it is one of the most important and most underexamined dynamics in the entire zodiac. And because understanding it is the key to understanding why what is approaching may feel when it arrives simultaneously like a surprise and like something you always knew was possible. Virgo does not receive happiness passively. That is not how your sign is built. Where other signs may allow joy to wash over them without resistance, without analysis, without the immediate and almost involuntary impulse to check it for structural soundness before permitting full enjoyment, Virgo arrives at happiness through a process, a thorough, sometimes exhausting, absolutely characteristic process of earning it, of ensuring that the foundation is solid, of examining the offering from every available angle before allowing the full weight of your heart to lean into it, of being in the specific and sometimes maddening way of your sign, absolutely certain before you will allow yourself to be absolutely happy. The process has been underway for a long time. And what I feel in the energy of tonight's reading is that it may be approaching its completion. Not because you have finally found a happiness that is perfect. Perfection is not the condition Virgo actually needs, despite what the sign's reputation for perfectionism suggests. But because what is approaching may be good enough in a way that your particular and exacting standard of good enough actually genuinely approves of. And for Virgo, whose standard is not easily satisfied, whose bar is not easily cleared, that approval is not a small thing. It is everything. something is about to clear your bar. In the symbolic traditions, the archetype that governs this moment for Virgo is one I find deeply fitting, the archetype of the hermit finally descending from the mountain. Not retreating further up, descending, coming down from the long period of solitary examination, of private work, of the extended interior audit that Virgo conducts so thoroughly and so conscientiously that by the time it concludes, every element of what is being evaluated has been seen clearly from every possible angle. The hermit descends when the examination is complete. When the lamp of their own discernment has illuminated everything that needed illuminating and found in the illumination, not the flaws they were prepared to discover, but something that holds up under the scrutiny, something worth descending for, something worth bringing the full weight of their presence and their care and their completely uncommonly deep capacity for devotion back down into the world to be with. You have been on the mountain, Virgo, perhaps for longer than felt necessary from the outside, perhaps in ways that the people who love you have not always understood, because the examination you conduct is internal and invisible and cannot be rushed by external encouragement, however well intentioned. But the mountain work is not wasted work. It never is for your sign. What you bring down from it, the clarity, the certainty, the specific and hard-won knowing of someone who has seen the thing from every angle and decided is worth every moment of the ascent. Now, let me speak to what is going to blow your mind. Because that phrase mind blown carries something specific, and I want to honor its specificity rather than letting it dissolve into vague positivity. What blows Virgo's mind is not the grand gesture, not the dramatic declaration or the sweeping romantic statement or the enormous material windfall arriving without context or precedent. What blows Virgo's mind, what genuinely, completely stops the analytical engine and produces the specific and rare experience of being simply, wordlessly, entirely overtaken by something is precision. The arrival of something that fits, that matches, that demonstrates in its specific and detailed and completely non-generic quality that someone or something has been paying the kind of attention that your sign pays to everything and rarely receives in return. Being seen with Virgo's own quality of attention, being noticed in the specific, detailed, nothing escapes me way that you notice everything around you is perhaps the most disarming experience available to your sign. Because you are accustomed to being the one who notices, who remembers, who tracks the details that others miss and uses them to love more precisely, to serve more effectively, to show up in ways that are tailored rather than generic. To be on the receiving end of that quality of attention, to encounter someone or something that has been watching you with the same precision you bring to watching the world, produces in Virgo exactly what the title of this reading promises: a genuine, complete, entirely unprepared for blowing of the mind. soft sigh. Something has been watching you with that precision. Someone has been paying that quality of attention. And what they have assembled through the sustained, careful, nothing overlooked process of genuinely seeing you is an understanding of who you are that may be more accurate than anything you have been given before, more complete, more specifically fitted to the actual contours of who you are rather than the convenient version that is easier to love from a comfortable distance. What they do with that understanding, how it finds its expression in your life, what form it takes when it crosses from the interior of their knowing into the exterior of your experience, is what may be approaching now. And its arrival, in whatever specific and precisely calibrated form it chooses, may produce in you the specific quality of happiness that your sign has always been capable of, but has rarely been given sufficient reason to inhabit fully. The happiness that comes from being known, not from being chosen. Chosen is available without knowing, and Virgo has been chosen before without being known. And the hollowness of that particular experience has contributed to the bar being set where it is. The happiness that comes from being known specifically, accurately, in the full complexity of who you actually are and chosen anyway, not despite the complexity, because of it. That is the happiness approaching, the one that blows the mind, not through spectacle, but through recognition, through the specific and extraordinary experience of encountering something that fits so precisely it produces. In Virgo's usually well defended heart, the particular and beautiful surrender of someone who has finally found what the examination was always searching for. Oh, now I want to speak about the material dimension of what is shifting, because Virgo's happiness is never only relational, never only emotional. It lives in the practical as much as in the felt, in the evidence of circumstances that reflect a right relationship between effort and return, between what is invested and what comes back. And what I feel in the material dimension of your energy tonight carries the same quality as what I feel in the relational dimension, the quality of something that has been slightly, persistently, almost imperceptibly misaligned, beginning to correct. For Virgo, material misalignment is felt as a specific kind of injustice, quiet, rarely complained about, but constantly present in the awareness of a sign that tracks these things with the accuracy of a precision instrument. The awareness that what is going out exceeds what is coming back, that the quality of the contribution does not match the quality of the recognition or the return, that the bar you hold yourself to in your work, in your service, in the extraordinary standard you apply to everything you touch, is not the bar to which you are being held in return by the circumstances of your current situation. And that asymmetry may be correcting, not through anyone making a decision to finally treat you fairly. Fairness should never have required a decision in the first place. But through the specific mechanism of alignment of your particular gifts and your particular standard and the particular quality of what you bring to everything you do, finding finally a context that is actually sized for it. That does not require you to compress yourself to fit. That does not waste what you offer by placing it in circumstances that cannot fully use it. A better context may be forming, one whose dimensions match yours. And the happiness that comes from inhabiting a context that fits from working and living and loving in circumstances that are actually proportionate to who you are is the kind that does not require maintenance. It is simply the natural state of a person in the right place. A state that Virgo, who is almost never in exactly the right place because the right place for your sign is so specific and so exacting in its requirements, may be approaching for the first time in a very long time. Soft sigh, the right place, in love, in work, in the daily, practical, this is what my life actually feels like to live experience of inhabiting your own existence. All of it shifting slowly, but with the specific quality of something that is not going to reverse, not going to settle back into the previous misalignment once the initial momentum fades towards something that your particular sign has always deserved and has been through the long and thorough process of the mountain work, finally preparing to receive. You are going to be happy, Virgo, not performed happy, not the managed contentment of someone who has learned to appreciate what is available because what is wanted seems too far. Actually, genuinely, in the body, quiet in the chest, finally exhaling happy. The kind your sign is capable of when the conditions are right, which they rarely are, because your conditions are specific and your standards are real, and the world does not always organize itself to meet either. But which, when they are right, produces a quality of settled, deep, completely unperformable joy that is unlike anything available to signs that arrive at happiness more easily. The ease of arrival is not the measure of the quality. And the happiness that Virgo earns through the long examination, through the refusal to settle, through the sustained and sometimes exhausting commitment to the right thing rather than the available thing, is the happiness that lasts. That settles into the foundation rather than sitting on top of it. That becomes not a moment but a state. That state is approaching in both its dimensions, the felt and the practical, the relational and the material, the love and the life, approaching with the unhurried, completely certain momentum of something that has been forming for a long time and is now close enough to the surface that the energy of it is already changing the quality of what exists around you, already shifting the air, already reordering things at the level where the most significant changes always begin, invisibly, quietly, without announcement. Virgo, the announcement is coming in the form of something arriving that fits so precisely, that lands so specifically, that sees you so completely that even your analytical mind, with all its examinations and its bars and its extraordinary capacity for finding the flaw in the thing, will fall quiet. Not because the flaw is absent, because for the first time in a long time, what is offered may be worth more than the flaw costs. Maybe. In the full and honest accounting of your own precise and demanding standard enough, more than enough, the right thing. Oof, let yourself be happy when it arrives. Without the audit running in the background, without the monitoring of its own durability, without the Virgo habit of standing slightly outside the joy to make sure the joy is real before fully entering it. Enter it all the way with the full weight of your extraordinary heart and your precise and beautiful mind and your completely uncommonly deep capacity for love and devotion and the specific quality of happiness that only your sign can produce when it finally, genuinely, without reservation, lets itself. Let yourself, Virgo. The mountain work is done. The examination is complete. And what is waiting at the bottom of the descent in both the love and the life dimensions of your extraordinary, precise, endlessly worthy existence is something that passed, that cleared the bar. That is, by your own standard and in your own honest assessment, the right thing. Come down from the mountain. It is time. If this reading found you exactly where you needed to be found tonight, if something here named what Virgo has been carrying through the long examination and confirmed that what is approaching is worth the wait, stay close. Subscribe and come back, because the happiness that is forming in your energy right now is a story that deserves to be witnessed all the way through to its most settled, most complete, most genuinely Virgo expression. And the next reading will be there for every step of the descent. Take care, Virgo.